Oh, come on, they're giggling. What the heck? How is that evil? Those choo-choo guys from the field were more evil than that. Anyway, this is kind of one of the better... It's not really well hidden, but I could see how you could miss it if you were rushing, I guess. You need to make sure all of these moats, or whatever they're called, not called that, they just sort of look like moats. I don't even know what a moat is exactly. But yeah, you have to scour the land for all of those guys, which shouldn't be too hard since you need to go to most of the land anyway. And when you've killed them all, a chest appears. What kind of a reward would you get for killing them? Maybe a pointless rupee? No, a marginally less pointless fairy. And now you may have seen some these torches in the darkness. Probably not, because YouTube does not like dark videos very much. And in one of the most complex puzzles in the entire series, there's a room with some torches and you have to light them all and then the door opens. Never would have seen it coming. And now we are in a precision decoing room that is otherwise totally unnotable. Bit hard, I'm still not totally comfortable with this. Hopefully I'll be comfortable with it by the time I decide to tackle Clock Town's mini games, which I think might be after this dungeon, considering there's not a whole lot to do between this and the second dungeon, and I would like to have a decent amount of pacing between all of them. I don't know, I mean, well that's... Oh, I don't want to know what happens if you fall in those pits. I feel that they might be real pits instead of just, oh no, you lose a heart and go back to the start of the room. It might be more like you lose a heart, except you don't lose the heart, you just have to redo the dungeon. And I really don't like waiting for these platforms. I'm gonna hate the frigging Deku playground, and oh gosh, I narrowly missed that. Luckily, all of these dumb bushes have hearts. I'm pretty sure I got through this room with absolutely no problems when I was doing it earlier, but that's probably because I wasn't focusing on commenting and trying to do it a little bit fast so it doesn't get boring. That works well when I rush. I mean, at least with my practice run it's working fairly decently, considering I am, for all intents and purposes, rushing. I'm not speed running it obviously, but I'm going pretty close by my standards, and if I can avoid these dragonflies, I should be able to sneak over to this. After all this, maybe the playground won't be so bad. I have a feeling it will be anyway, but I'm not too confident with any of the mini-games, honestly. I don't really care for most of them. I mean, some of them are pretty fun, but they often have semi-unrealistic expectations of me. And by semi-unrealistic, I don't even know what I mean. But anyway, here we go through another classic Zelda stairway, I guess. I'm not sure what's classic about it, but bleh. And right here, you basically finish the dungeon for most intents. Basically, oh, there you go. Now you no longer have to do any of that again because there were no fairies there or anything. At least not to my knowledge. I'm probably going to end up missing some super obvious fairy. Just need to make sure I break all the pots since I did miss one in a pot once. Anyway, in here we have I think it's called a Dragophon, or I don't know what it is. I would have just pegged it as a Lucifer. Dino Foals. It randomly has a L at the end of its name because too many enemies are just called something foe. And it makes a weird sound that does not sound like a dino. And it dies in 2 jump slashes. What a hard mini-boss. I don't know if it was even supposed to be a mini-boss, but it wasn't a very good one if it was. Anyway, we get what is likely the most useful item in the game, and incidentally the only item that you get from dungeons in the game. The hero's bow. Well, technically you do get other items in the other dungeons, but they are not very interesting compared to the masks and the other crazy things you'll get on your way to the dungeons. Which is another way I sort of like this game, for mixing it up from the standard Zelda stuff. I need to be looking around in rooms more often, because I swear if I don't, there's going to be some fairy that's really easy that inexplicably eludes me. I just really assume that's going to happen. That's great. I can't hit a fairly simple target without expending 3 arrows. Not a big fan of precision arrowing, and luckily I will be doing that 3 different mini games in a total of 5 times if I do everything perfectly the first try after this dungeon, which may be... I don't even know what I'm saying. It may be bundles of fun, it may be bundles of sped up, it may be bundles of a couple bad attempts, but I get to it without really warranting cutting out a whole lot. I don't know. It took me a while to practice it, but I think I'm getting better now, because sometimes you get better with practice. This guy's fun. Quite an attractive mini-boss. And, oh, he's dead already. Nope, he has a snapper turtle friend, and I have no idea why I called it a snapper turtle. And he rides it around. Luckily, that does not make it any different from any other turtle, except for the fact it doesn't die. And oh no, he's at the ceiling. Deku's can't climb to the ceiling, and he dropped the arrow. What could this possibly mean? I have no idea how I might damage this fellow. Only hard part is trying to target him, and you can basically fill him up full of arrows. There's no reason to do it like I did, considering he can only be hurt once, unless I am sorely mistaken, which might be true, because N64 games tend to have less than intuitive things like that. And oh look, he drops 10 arrows. I do not remember arrows being this easy to get in most Zelda games, but apparently they are. Maybe I just haven't played any 3D ones in a while, which is in fact the case. Couldn't sequence break there, but oh well. Again, this is a very simplistic boss, mini-boss. I actually think he's harder than the real boss, considering I don't know why I think that, but I do. Anyway, he technically has 5 HP, 3 HP if you consider the arrows is hurting him, and look, he turns into a frog. That frog is going to come back to haunt me later, and the first time I did this dungeon, I was really confused at this point, because I did not expect to get the boss key so early, but yep, you're basically done with the dungeon by this point. You've got all the 4 main items in it: map, compass, bow, boss key. All that's left is some minor puzzle solving and getting like half of the fairies, which are now able to be collected since I have the bow. But that's pretty much it. There's no length to this dungeon really, and I'm positive there's a fairy in here, and by positive I mean there might be one, and by might be one I mean I'm pretty sure there is. And look at that, I'm right. Really wish I had more than 3 item slots, so that's really just me being impatient. And yep, the Great Fairy Mask makes fairies fly towards you if you haven't worked that out by now. It also sparkles in rooms with fairies, which seems like it might not be the best strategy, or I don't even know what words I'm saying anymore. But it actually is pretty helpful if you don't know what you're looking for. For instance, now I know there's another fairy in this room. I knew there was one anyway, but now it's the confirms. And you have to use that torch to light that. It doesn't seem like that really should have caught on fire, but it did, so don't question it. And now this big old flower thing starts spinning and rising up, because I'm just going to assume that everyone watching this is blind and is trying to get the gist of the game from my commentary describing what is going on. And from this away you can... There's actually a door here, and oh hey, another fairy, and a bubble just sort of hanging. And why is there... Oh, right, that's something I need to light on fire. You actually... Or wait, that's the entrance to the dungeon, isn't it? Yeah, okay, I sort of get a bit mixed up in this part sometimes, and by sometimes I mean when I just tried it yesterday or whatever I did, I don't even remember. This is actually a pretty tricky shot to pull off. If you can't tell, you're trying to use this fire to set that thing on fire, and luckily I have learned that the hitboxes are ridiculously generous, and there's really no need to try to get it exactly through the fire if that's going to slow you down, which it probably will. And whoops, this is the last room. I am missing something or other. As you can see from the compass, there is a chest here. I do not exactly remember how to trigger it. It seems to be... I, like, almost have it.